We should have told you that at the beginning. Stick it back in.
You're eating it.
I know, I can't wait. I can't wait to try this.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our Cookalong with Young Lives vs Cancer. Today we are joined by our lovely Judith. Judith, what are we going to be making today?
Today we are making a sesame chicken, crispy chicken with like a sticky Asian sauce kind of things.
Oh goodness, that sounds absolutely amazing.
So the first thing would be, I have 3 bowls that I'm going to be coating my chicken with.
Okay.
So I have a bowl of corn flour or cornstarch, and then I'm going to have a bowl of whisked egg, and then a bowl of flour. So I'll start off and I'll crack my eggs and give them a wee whisk.
So you it's almost like bread and chicken in a way, it's sort of similar.
Exactly, yeah. That's the idea. And it can get messy, so
Sure.
I like to use forks to when I'm coating the chicken.
Judith, tell us a little bit, just while you're working away there, about your story. So what was it that you were diagnosed with?
I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Non-Hodgkin. So I was Hodgkin's lymphoma. So we're on the same.
Similar, yeah.
Similar,
Yeah.
very similar. And how did you find out that that's what you had?
Yes, I was in Edinburgh. I'd moved over in September, and I started working for Vision Express, doing my pre-reg year for optometry. And so I started that in September time. Let me set this here. And then I was just going to work and had a bit of indigestion. And then it just got to the stage where I was too uncomfortable and went into hospital and found out from there. So, but really thankful that it was a very quick process.
Yeah.
So.
But it's crazy that it went from a little bit of indigestion here to actually this is cancer.
Yeah.
I think, especially with me, the different symptoms that I had sort of like night sweats and a little bit of weight loss and breathlessness. They were all sort of symptoms that you would very easily brush under the carpet and be like, oh, it's just aches and pains.
Yeah.
When in reality, those symptoms can be massive signs of an underlying problem. And obviously that was similar with you. So I think one of the main things to sort of take away from this is that if you do sort of feel even slightly unwell, is to just get it checked out, because you just never know, do you? You never know what can happen.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do here first then?
So I've got my cornstarch, my egg, and then this is about 10 tablespoons of plain flour. And then I've got half a teaspoon of salt, so I'll put that in, and pepper and garlic salt as well. And then I have 2 teaspoons of paprika. So I'll put that all in together and mix it up. So I'll give that a stir. And then we're going to just be dipping the chicken into the cornstarch, then into the egg, and then into the plain flour. So that's us there.
So your treatment plan, so you were in the hospital and did they do some scans just to have a look and see what was wrong? Or?
Yeah, they did an ultrasound first of all, just because they thought it might have been to do with my pancreas, and then it showed up my spleen from there, and then just got CT scans, and very thankful for the care that I got there. Just the doctors and nurses were fantastic. It's the waiting is the hard bit, but I was very thankful my family all came over to Edinburgh, and it was a special time for me going through cancer. Really, I had to rely on God going through it, and that time of waiting, I just had to surrender it, and I knew that there was a plan and there's purpose in all of it, and so when I found out what the diagnosis was, there was no time until they were starting treatment, and then I moved back to Northern Ireland, and I've actually had my dinners made for me since I've come home. So that's
everything
great.
has to be right. That was the plan all along. You just need to be looked after.
Yeah, So that's been lovely, and it's been lovely to spend time at home with family.
Maybe you just needed that little bit of time. It must have been really scary at the beginning, being away from your family and away from home and having to go through that initial stage by yourself.
Yeah, well, I actually hadn't registered with a GP when I was in Edinburgh because I'm come from a family, my mum's a nurse, and you had to be really unwell to get a day off school, so we would never have gone to the hospital really or anything. And so I hadn't moved GPs from back home, and that's why I went straight into A&E, because I couldn't go. Yeah.
So you obviously went through chemotherapy.
Yes.
How was that? What chemo did you end up doing?
I had R-CHOP.
Yes, I've heard of it, yeah.
So I had 6 rounds of R-CHOP, finished Good Friday last year, and I found that you just got into the routine with it. You knew the rhythms of it each time, and you knew the days that you weren't going to feel the best, and you planned lots of movies for that day and just lie low.
I found that preparation was really great in my circumstance anyway. Like I would literally change my bed before I left for the hospital. I would have all my little snacks and orange juice already in the fridge, and that preparation almost calmed me for the evening, whatever it was going to bring.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the comfort of your own home, and it's something that I would really recommend to anyone is whenever you're coming home from the hospital, if you've got chemo, if you're having any sort of surgery, have your room ready for coming home. Have your jammies laid out, have a candle ready to light, and for me it was just little things that made the process so much easier. I'm sure you're the same.
Yeah. And one of the tips actually Simon gave was to not eat foods that you really like.
And Simon said the exact same thing to me in my first chemo.
And it was good because I noticed the things that I ate when I came home from chemo I wouldn't tend to go for now. I just associate it, I think, with not feeling well. And so, I don't know, I had a craving for curry whenever I came away from...
I was very similar. I think it was to do with the strong flavours.
Yeah.
And it gets rid of, the horrible metallic taste that you
get. Yeah.
It almost like hid that a little bit, and it gave you like a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
I found that eating became my comfort, because if I was eating, then I couldn't taste the metallic taste in my mouth. Yeah. So I would just be snacking all day on like salt and vinegar crisps.
Yes, yeah.
On anything that had a strong taste.
Yeah.
And that really helped me. Sickness wise, tell me a little bit about that. How did you feel after chemo, and did it ease up at all, or?
Well, during the chemo, after each round, I'd say for maybe the day and the day after, I'd feel unwell, just not feeling a bit sick. But then after that, I'd find my body just picked up, and I'd get out and walk and cycle, just to really try and take my mind off it. And I felt, because I was exercising, I felt good for doing it. Even though I was tired, I felt that I was pushing my body and I was getting out and getting fresh air, so it felt healthy in a sense, and felt more normal because of that.
Yeah, that's really good. Actually, you tried to keep a somewhat normal routine,
Mm-hmm.
and then you almost gave yourself a little bit of a schedule, and I'm sure that really helped.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, even going for a simple 5-minute walk was an achievement.
Yeah.
And it's all about the small wins.
Yeah, and it's about having your goals as well, and planning, as you were saying, for the days that you're not going to feel well. I knew whenever I came off steroids that day or a few days after it, I would start feeling tired and lethargic and feeling a bit sick again. So I just planned those days that I was going to be lying low, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's just about being kind to yourself and giving yourself the time to heal.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I was diagnosed, I literally said to myself, the day I was diagnosed, I'm going to take this year for me. This is going to be about me, and it's going to be about me sort of getting through this and improving myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so many goals on reading and things. While I had so much time, I really struggled to read.
I am the same. Well, to be honest,
I just couldn't do it.
I am not much of a reader to begin with, but my friends, they know that I am not a reader. They are all devouring books, whereas I'm more the audiobook kind of person. And
Still the same thing on your books, whatever.
they, my friends actually produced me an audiobook of Pride and Prejudice, so they all recorded chapters and they got my old principal and people that I knew.
Oh my goodness.
And so I could sit and listen to it, and I'd ration out the chapters, and it gave me a laugh as well, but it was really lovely.
Another thing that we have both probably experienced, Judith, you and I, is the hair loss side of things.
Yes.
And if you're anything like me, that would have been a struggle.
Yeah, it was hard. I think it was the initial shock because you're so used to like 23 years of your life seeing yourself when you look in the mirror with hair, and then you look and it's a different person nearly looking back. And so it's the change that's the hard bit, but I found that when mine started going, I shaved it off, and for me that was the easiest way, just because it finished with the losing hair bit, and it meant that I didn't have to keep thinking about that. But I worked out at a Christian outdoor adventure camp for 3 summers in California, but there you live outside and you shower maybe once a week if you're lucky, and otherwise you're jumping in and out of the river to clean, but there's no mirrors, no phones, nothing. So you're going throughout the day and you don't have a clue what you look like, you really don't, and that would go for 3 months. And it was a really liberating experience for me because it really just helped me, I think it helped me prepare for losing my hair, because from that experience I'd say I became a lot less image focused and realised that it just didn't matter, to the extent that I wouldn't mind wearing my pyjamas or something out to the shops and my mum's reining me back in the door. But it just helped me realise that it doesn't matter, but it is hard. You can't deny it is hard losing your hair, especially when that's what you've been used to your whole life. Yeah. But in a way it's something that nobody else experiences. We've seen what we look like and we've been through that, and you're stronger as a result of going through it.
I was actually quite happy because I had never had short hair really before, and it wasn't until I started chemo that I was like, I'm just going to cut it off. If it's going to fall out anyway, so I cut it up into like a bob, and I actually did quite like it. I was like, I flipping rock this.
Yeah.
And but I would never have done it otherwise.
Yeah, I know.
It forced me
exactly
to have new experiences, and I did enjoy it.
Low maintenance, which was great because I had long hair down to my waist.
And is your hair naturally that curly, or was your hair straight?
Well, I had curly hair, but not to this extent.
You know what? I have never seen ringlets like that before in my life.
It's
they are
mad.
beautiful.
But it's part of the joy of just not knowing what way it's going to come back, and that's the excitement. Mum and I have taken so much pleasure from it, and you should see the photos on my phone of just all my hair coming back and the different stages. I've documented it all just because to me it's so interesting.
You've just absolutely rocked it.
But
by the science of things. It's brilliant.
So our chicken is all breaded and we are ready to rock and roll and get it fried up. So what are we doing now? Pop the oil in the pan?
Yes, so we're going to pop the oil in the pan. It's about 5 tablespoons of oil. So you get it nice and hot before you put the chicken in.
Okay.
So we have coated the chicken in the corn flour, the egg and the plain flour.
Amazing. So we need to the pan needs to be up, what temperature do you normally put it at?
High heat, yeah.
Amazing.
So get that nice and hot, and then just put the chicken in, and it takes about 6 to 7 minutes to cook the chicken.
Yeah.
And you want to turn it maybe 2 to 3 times. I found actually the more I turned it, the more the coating came off the chicken, so you want to turn it as little as possible.
I think whenever I'm cooking chicken, I would turn it once and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
So we were chatting before there, obviously, after you were diagnosed with the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and the chemotherapy and that, it obviously was really difficult, but what I was wondering is, how do you think your family were dealing with that?
I think it was hard for my for my dad, he is a teacher in school, and so coronavirus sort of came not too long after that, and so I think him wanting to keep distance and not bring COVID back to the house. So that was hard.
That would be really difficult, actually.
But both my older brothers, they're both married, living up in Belfast. It's been lovely just to go up and spend time with them, because again, I had been over in Edinburgh. So, and then for my mum, she's been the one really has walked it with me, gone to everything. So very thankful for her, and just that she has, in a way, shared it all with me. So it's been special to have that time with her.
You mentioned earlier about being quite religious as well, and relying on God. My family would have been very, very similar when it comes to going through things like that. And I think it's so important to have like almost like a faith, to have a faith and to be like, everything happens for a reason. You know, and it's so lovely that you guys had that as well to get you through that really hard circumstance. And obviously your experiences over in America with the camps would have been, you were fully prepared almost for what was to come. I think it's great.
Well, when I think back to the initial diagnosis, I think back to the night before getting diagnosed, and my brothers had just arrived over, and we had a night in my flat in Edinburgh of just worshipping God. And it sounds strange to say, but I'd say that's probably one of the most precious memories I have, because I found that even in a difficult situation, a situation that's supposed to be so hard, I found that God gave me joy in that. And it's a really sweet memory that I look back on, even though we had the diagnosis to come the next day. And so I feel it is, for me, I couldn't have gone through this journey without my faith. And it's a strengthening experience for everybody to go through, as we talked about the hair, to know that you can lose your hair and it doesn't matter, and you know that you're stronger as a result of coming through it.
I found that whenever I was diagnosed that my whole perspective changed as well. I found that I was so much more grateful for little things in life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was so incredibly thankful for every single day. No matter what that day contained, whether I was sick, whether I was in hospital, whether I got told I had another cancer, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to do it. And we're just going to get through it, and that's just the way it's going to be.
And seeing that each day is a gift. And I think like things that you take for granted, like your health, you definitely appreciate it much more now. And like recently I've had to cut down on exercise and wasn't really getting out and walking just because I needed to rest my heart. And so I've got out walking again, and I appreciate it. Things that a simple walk round the garden that you would have taken for granted before, you're really appreciating it, and it really lifted me, and just the ability to do that.
It's finding the goodness in the little things.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've chatted about it before, about just being forgiving to yourself and being kind to yourself, and giving yourself that time to get better. Where was your non-Hodgkin's lymphoma located?
Mostly to my spleen. I had it, it's little spots in other places, but mostly to my spleen. So that's why I had the radiotherapy to my spleen following the chemotherapy. And
if you don't mind me asking, like how do you feel now that you've finished your chemo and your radiotherapy? Because for me, like, I mean, it's been a year since I've had chemo and radiotherapy now, but I still feel the effects of chemo in my body. It's not an easy thing to get over. How are you fighting it now?
Well, because I had mentioned about the heart, and I don't know whether that's a side effect from chemotherapy and radiotherapy, or whether it's they thought it was maybe a viral sort of infection, but I found my body tired as a result, and I haven't done exercise since July time, so I do find myself tireder. But it's doing the things that are normal. Like, I love taking a bath. I take a bath, as many baths as I can.
You see, if I had a bath in my house, I would never be out of it.
So doing things like that just helps you feel normal.
Yeah.
And having a routine.
I love going home at night and getting my jammies on and lighting a few candles and just feeling all cozy.
Yeah.
And that was my lifeline whenever I was going through it.
Dressing gown on.
Let's just yes. Oh my goodness. Same. I've been in my dressing gown more than any other item of clothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's ridiculous. But here, I'm not mad about it. I love it.
I know.
Why would you not want to be cozy?
And the thing is, most people have been going through with lockdown, so many people have been wearing their dressing gowns.
Do you know what? I was thinking as well, whenever you were chatting earlier on, that it's almost, it's maybe weird to say this, but when you were going through your treatment, obviously with COVID-19 happening, it was almost like a good time to go through it because the rest of the world had almost stopped with you.
Yeah.
So you weren't particularly missing out on a lot of things because everything had sort of came to a halt.
Yeah.
And that was one thing with me. I had a few hospital stays during COVID and I was like, you know what, I'm okay about this because everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah.
I didn't feel alone.
Yeah.
So, like I said, everything has a silver lining.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Definitely.
So guys, we are now going to make the sauce for the sesame seed chicken and I can't wait to see how this is made. So what are we doing first then?
So we've got a couple of ingredients here and you just basically put them all into the pan and let it simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes. So we'll start off with the sesame oil, so we'll put that on in. And then we've got some white wine vinegar. And we've got, so that's a tablespoon of each and 2 tablespoons of honey. So get that on in there.
Honey just sticks to everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've been trying a honey hair mask recently,
Ooh.
which is and with
Is that
coconut
the secret
oil.
to your lovely
No,
look?
with coconut oil as well. So we've been cooking with the honey and the coconut, and then we've been putting it in the hair.
Do you know what? That's funny you should say that. See, as soon as I finished chemo, I started lathering my head in coconut oil. Like literally, must have been the biggest jar you could find of it.
Yes.
And I would sit and I would like massage. I'd lie upside down and I'd massage it into my scalp.
I know, you feel you're pampering yourself.
I know.
And then we've got 3 tablespoons of ketchup.
I love a bit of ketchup.
Yeah.
Full of sugar, like sugar.
2 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce, the best.
Ooh.
And then we have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar.
Goodness, I would never have thought these ingredients were going to go into this dish.
And then 4 tablespoons of soy sauce.
Wow.
So mix that about. And then we also have 2 cloves of garlic. So we'll cut them up and mince them and then throw them on in as well.
Amazing. Yeah, so you were saying earlier about your family and how it was almost like a special time for you all going through that journey together. So I'm guessing you had a PET scan to see how your treatment was going.
Yes, I had a CT scan in the middle. I didn't have my PET scan until the very end, until I'd finished treatment.
The PET scan took forever, didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what they did on my PET scan? They literally put on ABBA and I wasn't allowed to move a muscle. Imagine putting on ABBA and expecting me not to move. I was like tapping my toes under, because I was like, I do not know how to not dance to this song.
I know.
But it was so kind of the nurses, it really was. But isn't the PET scan the one where you get the injection?
Yes.
Comes in a big box, it's like very nuclear looking.
Yes, yeah. And you're to lie still for I think up to about an hour.
Yeah, an hour, that's right.
Because I could hear the woman next door to me, she was reading and she was told not to read because you're using muscles or things. So
well, I was texting and I got told off. It's like, stop using your phone or I'll take it off you. But yeah, I'm sure you were so relieved whenever you got the results of that, knowing that your treatment had worked.
Very thankful. And then I had another one then after I finished my radiotherapy.
Yeah.
So, very thankful.
But it does a lot to your mental health as well, going through all that sort of treatment, because you're sort of poked and prodded for a certain number of months, and if you're anything like me, my whole life revolved around the next appointment, and it was just right. Let's just get going to the next appointment. And now you're quite fresh out of treatment, just like myself. But now that we're sort of finished, it's sort of like, what am I meant to do with myself now?
Yeah.
Like my life for the past year has been, let's get better.
Yeah.
But whenever you're fit, you're cancer free. It's really not as simple as I'm better now. There's so many mental things that are also involved that it takes a long time to heal, and everyone's different, isn't it?
I know, and I think that's the point of just being patient with yourself as well. Not expecting yourself to feel ready to go instantly. Being okay with taking a bit of time, a bit of rehabbing away, or a sabbatical just to pamper yourself and just build up your energy again. So
we've added in the garlic.
Does
anything else need to go into the sauce after this?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. So we're just going to let the sauce simmer, and then whenever we come back, we are going to put it all together and get some rice going, and then that's that.
Yep.
We'll see how it turns out. So everything is good to go. Our rice is done, our sauce is done. The chicken looks insane, to be honest. What are we doing now then, Judith?
So we're just going to place the chicken into the sauce and let that cook for maybe a further 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
So put that all in together.
It looks amazing.
And just stir it. So we'll have our rice ready as well to go.
Brilliant. Earlier on we were chatting about young lives versus cancer, and I think one thing that I really benefited from was having other young people to relate to, even if it was just online. And I think Young Lives versus Cancer and Cancer Fund for Children really give us that opportunity to relate. You were chatting about it earlier on, about how it benefited you, and you've been involved with different things, isn't that right, with the different charities?
Yeah, just online through the Zoom, but it's great to have, and great, as you said, to meet other people. I was involved with the Find Your Sense of Tumour, which is great, and seeing people and knowing that there's people across the UK as well that were involved in the same week.
It's something I would recommend to anyone who is going through cancer treatment, particularly in Northern Ireland, is reach out to these charities and ask for help, because I'll be honest, it was probably the best thing that I ever did in me and getting better in my healing process. And everyone that we have chatted to over the past couple of days have benefited from the different services that are there and that are offered. So it's just something to keep in mind if you are going through treatment, or you have a friend or a family member, then reach out and get the help that is there to be offered.
Yeah, very much so.
This smells absolutely unreal.
So we're probably good with the chicken. So we'll just serve our rice, and then we have sesame seeds and spring onions cut just to sprinkle over the top. So we'll serve that. But no, it's a good Saturday night takeaway, exactly, during lockdown.
One thing that I would say going through cancer treatment is that no matter what you can get into it, as long as you're getting something into your system, and that was something that I was recommended going through it, especially after chemo, is it's okay to eat some ice cream or whatever it may be to get something into your system. That's something I really recommend. But Judith, this has been such an amazing chat.
Yes, lovely.
It has been unreal, hasn't it? I've loved meeting you and chatting to you, and hopefully we'll get to see you again soon. But thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.